Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right, welcome. We are still learning how to rap, so to speak. By which I mean restate the question, answer the question, and prove your answer. Your objective today, I can prove my answer to author and me questions. This is very similar to what we've been doing, with the only change being the type of questions we're going to try and address. They're called author and me questions. Your success criteria for these is going to be very similar as well. You're going to restate the key information for the question, and you're going to answer with a proof stem. Your proof stem for an author and me question is to add not just what you know is true because of what the author wrote, but also to say, and what I already know, because an author and me question means you're answering based on what the author wrote and what I already know. And of course, as always, you will succeed if you write your answer in complete sentences. That means having a complete thought, having a capital letter, and a punctuation mark at the end. We've been working through the different types of questions. We worked on right there questions. Those are questions that the answer is just right in one spot in the text. We worked a little bit with think and search questions where you might have to combine ideas from across the text to answer, but the answers are right all in the text. And author and you questions, those are questions that ask you to infer or understand something based on what you already know. So the author writes something, but he doesn't give you everything that you need to answer certain questions about the text. You're going to need to put in some of your own knowledge. So here are some example questions that you might see. What can you conclude about? What can you conclude about blah, blah, blah is often an author and you question. It's often asking not just what did the text say, but put that together with what you already know to tell me what can you conclude? What can you tell me based on that? Why does the author say? It's asking you to kind of guess the intention behind something. You're sort of reading the author's mind. So you're taking what the author said and adding what you already know about the world to answer it. What do you think? Blah is often an author and you question as well. Or why did the main character of the story do X? Why questions are often author and you questions. Basically, anytime where the answer isn't right there, if you can't look through the text and say, that's when that happened, or this is how that happened. If it's more of a why, or if the answer is not in the text, it's going to be an author and you question, most likely. So for this, your proof stems are going to be very similar, but I want you to change it just a little bit. Instead of I know this is true, I want you to say I think this is true, because you are inferring, you are understanding or thinking about the text rather than just stating what's in the text. You're still going to use the author wrote, the author said, in the story blah says, or in the book blah does, or the illustration shows that blah. You're still going to use something from the text, but you're going to add something. After you have these stems, you're going to say and, or you can use another transition word like also, or plus, or in addition to that. And then you need to say what you know, okay? You need to bring these things together and say, not only does the author say this, but I know that blah, so that means blah, okay? That sounds like a lot, but it's not too bad. Here's an example. I'm going to read this text, and we're going to try to answer this question together. Every day after work, Paul took his muddy boots off on the steps of the front porch. Alice would have a fit if the boots made it so far as the welcome mat. Then he took off his dusty overalls and threw them into a plastic garbage bag. Alice left a new garbage bag tied to the porch railing for him every morning. On his way in the house, he dropped the garbage bag off at the washing machine and went straight up the stairs to the shower as he was instructed. He would eat dinner with her after he was presentable, as Alice had often said. So we want to restate the key information from the question. What relationship do Alice and Paul have? Well, they have the relationship I don't know. I need to fill that in. They have the relationship that Alice and Paul has is these two seem like they're acting like they're married. Like they're both in the same house. He seems to come home to work every day, and then she's telling him she would like him to behave a certain way. She's kind of it seems like they're together on the same page about how to act in the house. So I'm guessing, based on my background knowledge about how married couples work, that these two are married. So that's my best guess. I think Alice and Paul's relationship is that they're married. So our proof stem is why we think that's true. I think this is true because, what did the author write? Well, the author wrote that Alice was asking Paul to keep the house clean in certain ways. Like she was asking him to keep his muddy clothes out of the house. Okay, and what do I already know? And, well, married couples tend to work together to keep the house clean. These two seem like they're acting like they're married. And I need to make sure that my answer is in complete sentences. So here's what the final product would look like. We're going to restate the question. What relationships do I think they have? I think the relationship that Alice and Paul have is probably marriage. Here's the proof stem. I think this is true because, what does the text say? The text says Alice wants Paul to keep his mud out of the house. And, what do I already know? I know that adults who live together and work together to keep the house clean are often married. So I'm using my background knowledge to help me answer this question, because it doesn't say anywhere. It doesn't say they're friends, right? It doesn't say they're married. It doesn't say they're boyfriend, girlfriend. It doesn't say what their relationship is, so this is not a right there question. It's not a think and search question. It is a author and me question, a question where the author tells me things and I have to infer or understand based on what I already know. I want you to use the same text to infer what Paul's job could be. Okay, there are probably several answers to this, and that's why we're going to use the stems. I think this is true because, okay? So I want you to say, I think Paul's job is blah, blah, blah. I think this is true because. You fill in where in the text you got the information that gives you the clues to understand that. You say, I think this is true because the text says blah, blah, blah. I think this is true because the author wrote blah, blah, blah. Okay? You put in what is telling you what Paul's job probably is. And then, last step, you need to add, how do you know? What do you know about the world that is telling you what Paul's job is? Okay? If you can, get this to your teacher before reading groups start. If you can't, make sure you email it before you start today's assignment, where you'll do one more of these author and me questions. My last thing I'll do is reread the text to you before I go. Every day after work, Paul took his muddy boots off on the steps of the front porch. Alice would have a fit if the boots made it so far as the welcome mat. He then took off his dusty overalls and threw them into a plastic garbage bag. Alice left a new garbage bag tied to the porch railing for him every morning. On his way in the house, he dropped the garbage bag off at the washing machine and went straight up the stairs to the shower as he was instructed. He would eat dinner with her after he was presentable, as Alice had often said.